Hi, everybody, and welcome back to FANG Friday, -1. This is Ross Healy, Chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a Senior Portfolio Manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management. Get of all, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Easter weekend. In our family, it's always a time for a big get-together to celebrate the end of winter and look forward to the coming spring. I hope that you and yours can celebrate the advent of the impending changes seasons as well. Second, I am planning to take off next Friday, that's April 5th, so the regular FANG Friday will not be aired. I have to tell you, I become a little apprehensive when I take a week off, as it seems that whenever I do, something always seems to happen, and we have to play a bit of catch-up. Right now, as I speak, there are 4 of the FANGs that are at or very close to critical breakpoints, so a lot can occur. So I especially ask you to keep these breakpoint values in mind and be ready to take action, with or without me giving you a nudge. I believe the last time I took a week off, Apple decided to take a spill, and it has not looked back since then. Although, as we speak, it is dithering around a key breakpoint right now. With that in mind, today I will emphasize the potential actions that might occur in the breakpoint values that you should keep in mind. However, without further ado, let's take a close look at the FANGs and what went on last week. But as always, before I do like to say thanks to everyone who likes this video and all our subscribers. It really helps to grow our channel, and we appreciate it greatly. Okay, let's start off with Amazon, just kind of steady as she goes, eh? And as long as it maintains that trend, and as long as the balance sheet values continue to grow, just threading the needle there is giving you a 20% plus compound rate of return. We can live with that. Alphabet, for the third time, did bounce off its MSG price. That's 5.5 times book value, happily. And again, if it just floats along the MSG price or a little bit above, that's giving you almost a 13% compound rate of return. Netflix hasn't quite got up to its HB2 price yet, and I suspect that it's probably waiting for the next earnings, sales and earnings report. If it's going to finish the job at HB2 and maybe even break out and go higher. But for now, we'll happily hold it. Microsoft has been just floating under its HB2, that's 12 times book value, and will not break out. And small wonder, because as you can see from looking at the fair market value trend, nothing much is happening. It's sort of oozing higher, but there's nothing dynamic to really drive the stock yet. Meta has been sitting on its its bubble price at 7.4 times book now for good grief, for 2 months or so, and when we look at that gap, therefore, in previous times I've seen a gap, the stock has gapped, and then it's gone on to increase by a full breakpoint. But Meta has been just sitting there, and there's a good reason for that, and that is to say that when we go back in history, we see 1, 2, 3 times the stock tested its bubble price and couldn't break out. So naturally, there is some apprehension that this is for real. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait, I think, for the next earnings, the next quarterly report. to see whether that momentum of sales and earnings can continue and drive the company out and up. NVIDIA is it's floating right along its HB7 on either times. That is 43 times book value, and it's about, I believe, also about 38 times sales as well. It's small wonder that it's having trouble gaining traction, and it's not helping that the analysts are kind of pulling their earnings growth forecast just a little bit, but enough to slow down the momentum of the stock. Apple fell to its HB5, that's 26 times book value. First of all, it sat on the HB5 and then it broke down. But we have not really had, our sort of our 3% 5-day rule of thumb that tells us we ought to be selling Apple. I will have to say we may be sitting with it a little bit nervously, those people who acted on my suggestion that you might want to buy here in case that proved to be the bottom. Finally, take a look at Tesla. This is the, look at this, after the breakout of its MSG price, that's 5.5 times book, broke out, pulled back to its bubble price, 7.4 times book, had a nice run, pulled back again, and has pulled back for the third time. Now, the first time, or the second time that it pulled back, of course, we were kind of anticipating that maybe things were getting a little bit slow in the industry, and the stock pulled back, but it pulled back virtually, look at that, virtually to its fair market value. But what's happened subsequent to that time, after a 3 breakpoint bounce, is that the fair market value has really, really peeled off. And now our question is that trend continuing? And therefore, can the bubble price hold? This is now very, very critical. Now, initially, the stock came down, not quite, by the way, to its bubble price, not quite. Unlike the last time where it almost hit, bounced, and then went back and hit. It's now kind of threading the needle, if you like, between its bubble and its HB1, which is 9.5 times book value. Again, the fundamentals are of some question in my own mind. So briefly recap, it was actually a pretty quiet week, with no signals changes taking place. Amazon, Netflix, Alphabet, after its nice pullback recovery, and I suppose Tesla appear to be ensconced in the middle of their trend breakpoint values. And I would not expect anything major to happen to do anything, but perhaps move their prices a bit closer to one or the other of the higher or lower trend values. And I would not expect a change in their buy, hold, sell signal to occur in the next week or so. There are 4 FANGs, however, where a change of signal could occur imminently: Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA, and Apple. Well, Microsoft has been tracking under its HB2 price, that's 12 times book, but has not yet got enough oomph to break out, and probably will not in the next 2 weeks. But it is a stock that I'm keeping a close eye on for that very reason. Meta is tracking its bubble price, that's 7.4 times book, but rather than pressing up against it as Microsoft is doing, it is sitting on it, as investors wait to see if there's enough earnings and sales momentum to push to new valuation highs. I do not really expect anything to happen to change things until we are close to their next quarterly report. And for now, the market is being cautious. Optimistic, but cautious. The best thing I can say about NVIDIA is that it is trying to stage a successful and clean breakout over its HB7, that's 43 times book value, but without signal success so far. It's amusing, or perhaps I should say bemusing, to see analysts and commentators falling all over themselves to set progressively higher and higher price targets for the shares. This is very much shades of what happened in the late stages of the dot-com boom before its bust back in 2000. Not that I am trying to call the bust in NVIDIA, but I can assert that history does repeat, and we need to pay attention to the SVA parameters of this and indeed all of the FANG stocks. Turning to Apple, until a month ago, Apple was sitting on its HB5, that's 26 times book, and has now slipped below. No sales and earnings growth, no dividend to speak of, and a lot of possible regulatory hassle makes me nervous. But our 3% 5-day rule has yet to be triggered, but I do watch closely. If you bought it on spec as I suggested, and when it fell down to the HB5 level, it's close, but close only counts in horseshoes. Let's wait for a confirmation one way or the other. Finally, Tesla fell almost to its own bubble price, that's 7.4 times book, and has had a rebound, as it did the last time it fell that low, before finding its feet right at its bubble price. Can it do so again? This is an intriguing moment, and I can advise, and all I can advise is to wait and see. In total, I'd want to own Amazon, Netflix, and Alphabet in my FANG portfolio. I would add Microsoft to the mix, and I would want to be adding to that position if the shares can actually break out here over their HB2. I would be adding to or buying Meta here. And probably NVIDIA, although a bit nervously, as we do have some rather shaky action around the breakpoint level thus far. Apple and Tesla remain in my bad books from a fundamental point of view. But as I said recently, support is support, and both are now at critical decision points. Keep a close eye on both stocks. For now, this has been Ross Healy, the chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a senior portfolio manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management, reminding you that nothing, including investing, is difficult if you have the right tools. I'll see you next Friday.